would not necessarily position it on top of this ranking. It's a very attractive place for expats if you are looking for an international community. In the top 5, on the 5th place. Guys, I feel a bit conflicted. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this very sunny and very warm day. And I wanted to share with you the best cities to live in Italy in 2025, because we're still technically at the beginning of the year. However, I found out that the official ranking is not released yet. But I found the one that was released in December 2024, so I think it's still very relevant. I was somewhat surprised by the cities that made it to the ranking, and I wanted to share it with you, yes, but also to share my thoughts on this ranking and on these cities as someone who's lived in Italy for 9 years, having lived in different cities and also having changed the regions as of recently. So yeah, I travel this country extensively and I've been to every city on this list. So yeah guys, let's dive into it. But first, don't forget to subscribe, especially if you're planning to move to Italy anytime soon and you want more videos like this and more advice and expat life adventures in Italy. Now, there are several categories that were taken into consideration when assessing the cities that made it into the list. And the main categories are wealth, job market, services and environment, demographics, society and health, justice and safety, and lastly, culture and free time. And according to this list, guys, Bergamo, this northern Italian city, takes up the first place in the ranking, especially in terms of safety, demographics and free time. Now, we went to Bergamo a couple of years ago, and I personally think that it's a lovely city. It's not big at all, and it's really nice. It has a big airport, which is a big perk, especially if you plan to travel a lot internationally, especially, and it's very near Milan. So there are, plenty of opportunities for cultural life because Milan is not that far. It's also surrounded by stunning natural sites and natural parks. So yeah, I think, I would not necessarily position it on top of this ranking personally, but yes, I think I can see where they're coming from with this position. I cannot say much about the job market here, to be honest, but at least when I visited it, it felt really, really safe. So next one in the ranking is Trento. Trento, in my opinion, guys, is charming. It's not very big, not big at all, to be honest, but it gave me an impression of being very livable, considering its size as well. It's very lively. It has numerous museums and different cultural festivals and events that are held there throughout the year. Trento has a fantastic university offering some really unique courses, and I also suppose providing the employment for the people who live there. It's surrounded by spectacular nature, the mountains, the lakes, you have everything. I personally would not consider living in Trento because, in my opinion, it's not very conveniently located for Italian travel. But then it's a very personal choice, and central Italy is more appealing to me in that sense, considering that I travel a lot around the country, but also I just prefer the climate here more, It can get quite cold there in winter. Summers would be hot, because summers are always hot in Italy, anywhere in Italy, but yeah, winters can get pretty cold. On the other hand, you are so near all the main skiing stations, so if you're into skiing, guys, Trento could be a good option as well. Next up, guys, we have Bolzano, which makes sense because Bolzano is located very nearby. Bolzano is also lovely, but I think also it depends on what you're looking for. If you're a foreigner moving to Italy and you want this typical Italian life, Bolzano might not be the best option, because Bolzano is great, don't get me wrong, but also it doesn't really feel that much Italian. It has been influenced by the Austrian culture a lot, and you will see a lot of the restaurants offering Tyrolean food that also resembles Austrian food. You will see more of like Austrian-like architecture there. The vibe there is very, very different from the typical Italian vibes. Bolzano might be a good option because it was ranked highly in terms of the job market. So if you got a job there, then of course, but if you're moving to Italy for the Italian vibe, maybe consider something else. Moving on to the next city and the ranking, guys, and this one has surprised me in a very positive way. I'm talking about Monza, and chances are you've only heard about this small city near Milan if you are a Formula 1 fan. But there is so much more to this city besides the Formula One, guys. I actually have a video from there and I will leave you a link up here, but also I have videos from all of these places that I'm talking about today, so I will leave you the links up here and also in the description box, so check it out after watching this one if you want to get a feel of these cities. But yeah, we went to Monza maybe like 2 years ago, I think. I loved it. It was absolutely charming. The city itself is small, but it has many different options, you know, to go out, to have coffee, to have aperitivo. It has a lovely palace located there, and it's very, very conveniently located because you can find a job in Milan, for example. It's so close to Milan, guys. If you open the map, you will see it basically feels like the suburb of Milan, to be honest, although it's a different city and it's wonderful. But if you can easily find a job in Milan and commute from Monza, and you will be paying less for rent, for, you know, for the life in general, the groceries, everything will cost you less than it will cost you in Milan. And if you want the hustle and bustle of Milan, you can go there, spend the day there and enjoy all of the perks of the big city. But also if you want to escape the chaos a little bit and spend a relaxing weekend somewhere calm, somewhere quiet, Monza could be a great option. So yeah, I think Monza actually deserves to be on this list. Monza totally deserves to be on the 4th place of this ranking. Yeah, I can totally see it, guys. Moving on, we have Cremona in the top 5 on the 5th place. Guys, I feel a bit conflicted about Cremona, to be honest. We went to Cremona as well and I loved it. It's really pretty. It gives you this small city vibe, you know, the slow life in Italy vibe. And if that's something that you're looking for, definitely it can be a good option. But it is not very conveniently located in relation to the big cities. Like, you will need a car to get to big cities, you know, and there is no big important city that is very near to Cremona, which I personally do not like. And also in terms of transport, I find it to not be very well connected when it comes to the transportation, like the train lines and everything. So I am quite surprised that it made it to the top 5. Also, Cremona ranked really high in terms of the general wealth. So I think it must be saying something about the city and the people who live there. Now, skipping a couple of positions, I'll jump directly to numbers 7 and 9, occupied respectively by Verona and Bologna. While I have only explored Verona as a visitor, although I love it, it's one of my favorite destinations for a day trip, say, I think it must be a really lovely place to live, because culturally it has a lot to offer. Tons of events, tons of festivals, tons of stuff going on at all times. And also it's full of young people. It has a university, it's full of young people. It has this very young, vibrant energy, and it's very conveniently located geographically because you can easily reach so many gorgeous destinations. You can reach Venice, you can reach Milan, but also the nature around is stunning. You can be at Lake Garda in no time virtually. So I think it definitely deserves to be on the 7th place. Bologna, now the city where I spent the majority of my time in Italy, occupies the 9th place in the ranking, and it ranks high in terms of wealth, which I can confirm, guys. It is also a good place in terms of the job market, and of course if you are studying there, if you're a student, Bologna is awesome place to live, an awesome place to be there as a young student. In terms of the job market, which Bologna ranks high in terms of the job market, I think, you know, it really depends on your field. If you're coming to Italy, or if you live in Italy and you plan to find a job, I think it depends on the kind of job you're looking for. And I personally come from this artistic creative background, and most of my friends also come from the same backgrounds. We have more like art related degrees, and I could say that some of my friends are struggling to find art related jobs in Bologna, while they could find these jobs elsewhere in Italy. But if you're an engineer, for example, definitely you'll find employment in Bologna. And you know, Bologna is not cheap. Bologna is quite expensive, but there are of course plenty of opportunities, and you know, it's a good place to be. I think, you know, you need to go there to feel the vibe of this city, because it's really difficult to understand it otherwise. But then yeah, it totally deserves to be on the 9th place. Now guys, skipping a few more positions. I will be skipping them from now on, because otherwise it's gonna be like an hour-long video, but I will leave you the link to the list, to the ranking in the description box if you want to consult the full list. But I wanted to skip directly to Milan. Milan took the 12th position in the ranking. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, Milan is a large city. It's a very vibrant hub, the ultimate hub if you want to find employment in Italy. That's a given, you know. It's easier to find a job in Milan than in other parts of Italy. It has a very rich cultural life. I personally adore going to Milan to attend exhibitions or, you know, different art events, cultural events. I think it has incredibly rich cultural life. I have to give it to Milan. But of course, as any large city, it will have other concerns such as safety, for example. You know, the safety is a downside of Milan. It's not entirely safe. It also is quite pricey, for sure. My biggest concern for living in Milan, for example, would be the distances. But I think it's very personal choice, of course. But you know, I got so used in Bologna first and now in Florence to just walk everywhere. I love when the city is walkable, especially if you live not far from the city center or in the city center and you can walk virtually anywhere. I love it so much, and I would not want to move to a city like Milan where I have to take the underground every time I need to go somewhere, because there is no such thing as just the city center. In Milan there are different parts of the city where the things are happening, where people are going out, or where the art events are happening, or where people work, or where people live. And you know, I find personally, I don't know, I think for me it would be a huge adjustment to live in a city like that, but then of course it's a personal choice. Now guys, of course I have to talk about Florence, because Florence got the 36th place in the ranking. I think it doesn't deserve to be on the 36th place, because Florence, I might be biased, but it's hard for me to say, you know, why it's in the 36th place. Florence is an amazing place to live. I think maybe the job market has to do something with it, but personally I wouldn't say the job market is bad here, because I have friends who moved to Florence for the jobs. Especially I know someone in the medical field who moved to Florence for the jobs, so they actually found jobs in Florence while living in Bologna. And you know, it's an incredible cultural hub, of course, besides all the museums housing the most important masterpieces in the world, because let's be honest, it also has many festivals and exhibitions and stuff. But also guys, you know, it's a very attractive place for expats. If you are looking for an international community, then Florence of course is a great place to be. It is of course a little bit more expensive than other Italian cities, but still it is not more expensive than Milan or Rome, for example. Even compared to Bologna, I wouldn't say that Florence is that much more expensive. Actually, some things are cheaper here in Florence. I have a video, guys, that I made recently where I talk about the cost of living in Florence. I will leave you a link up here too if you want to check it out to get a better picture of what to expect in terms of cost of living in Florence. But yeah, I would say, you know, it's something to expect of the city like this, of the city of this importance. Also, many people complain about tourists, but you know guys, this is also something to be expected from Florence with its heritage and all. And also tourists, of course, bring money to the city. So, you know, the tourism industry creates workplaces as well. For me personally, as long as the tourists are respectful and respect the city and respect the locals, I don't see a problem. Then disrespectful tourists are a different topic, of course. But respectful tourists, I think personally, they do not bother me at all. Okay, side note from my team. They just made me note this thing, guys. I haven't spent summer here yet. I only went to Florence during summer as a traveler before, so as someone who lives here, I have yet to experience Florentine summer. So if I have somebody who lives in Florence, maybe leave me a comment about summer in Florence. How bearable is it with the tourists? Yeah guys, I'm still very positive. Let's stay positive that summer will be very bearable too. Anyway, last but not least, let's get back to the ranking, okay? I don't want to think about summer in Florence yet. So my last city that I wanted to talk about today is of course Rome, because I could not leave out Rome of this ranking, and Rome got the 59th place in this ranking. I will be honest with you, I cannot really talk that much about Rome because I still have to explore the capital a lot more. It's a shame because for someone who's lived here in Italy for quite a long time, I have not really been nearly as enough times in Rome as I wish I could be. And now, you know, that I live closer to Rome compared to Bologna, I hope to be there more often. But I think Rome is the kind of city that you either love or hate. I don't think you can feel indifferent to Rome. I love it. I think it's a gorgeous city with incredible cultural heritage, with incredible history, you know, lots of things to do as well. It's bigger than Florence, bigger than Bologna, obviously. So, you know, I would have the same concern as I would have in Milan with the distances and moving around and transportation. I'm not a fan of public transportation, to be honest. I just love walking everywhere. So I know in Rome that wouldn't be possible. But I also know so many people who moved to Rome or who lived in Rome, you know, and love it. I know locals, Italians, I have Italian friends who have moved to Rome for the jobs, by the way, because, you know, going back to the job topic about, you know, and my friends, many of them have found employment in their arts and creative fields in Rome, which also kind of makes sense. So they moved to Rome, they love it. I also know Italians who are from Rome, so they might be biased, you know, but they love it. And I also know a lot of foreigners who live in Rome or used to live in Rome and chose the capital on purpose because they wanted to live in Rome and experience the Roman life. So I suppose, guys, it's a really good place to live. You know, in terms of the safety, I think safety issues are similar to any other big city. I wouldn't say that Rome must be more dangerous than Milan or more dangerous than any other European capital, let's be honest. All big cities anywhere in the world might be quite dangerous if you go to certain areas. So Rome would not be more dangerous than them. And yeah, the prices are more or less like they are in Florence and in Milan, you know, the regular big city prices, you know, the capital prices. This year, guys, by the way, if you're moving to Rome this year, if you're planning to move to Italy and considering Rome, be aware that the Jubilee of the Catholic Church is happening this year, which means that the prices are skyrocketing in Rome because there are so many pilgrims coming there, and because of that, many landlords opted to rent out their apartments on Airbnb and stuff instead of renting them out long term, which means it might be a little bit more complicated to find long-term accommodation in Rome this year. However, if you're planning the move a little bit later, you know, like 2026 and so on, it might be a little bit tamer. So hopefully it will be tamer by then. But yeah, I would say, you know, maybe, yeah, considering all the different factors, Rome could be positioned on the 59th place, but I think it's a little bit undeserved as well, similarly to Florence. So yeah, guys, I think that's it. It's time to wrap up my review and overview of this ranking of the best Italian cities to live in. I don't really think that something changes from December 2024 to January 2025. So yeah, that's it, you know, that's what you got. And also I think some places are well deserved, some places might be a little bit less deserved, but I think it's also a very personal choice, you know, especially for foreigners. It's so difficult to say because there are foreigners who want to come to Italy and you know, start their life here and find a job and stuff, and then there are people who just want to move here for retirement or something else, and they're just looking for this Italian vibe. If you're looking for the Italian vibe, I would definitely recommend you to search a little bit southern, you know, like central Italy, Tuscany, Umbria, and also all the southern regions. If you're looking for a job, then maybe try looking from Tuscany and way north, Bologna, Milan. Rome might be a good option as well, but ultimately I think it comes down to personal preferences so much, guys. I'm really curious, by the way, if any of you have lived in any of these cities that I talked about today, or maybe you live in another Italian city and you would like to share a little bit more. What do you think about this ranking? What do you think about these cities? Leave me a comment and let's chat, because I'm very curious to hear about your experiences. And also I will leave you the links in the description box to all of the videos from the cities that I talked about today, and also to the full list if you want to see it. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, just chatting about life in Italy, but also travel vlogs, of course, because more travel vlogs are coming soon. And yeah, thank you so much for being here on this gorgeous warm day, having coffee with me. I hope you're having a drink of your choice while watching this video and talking about Italy, which is my absolutely favorite topic. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day ahead.